Hey guys, M13 here. I just had spent the day at the racetrack, which is nice. My first time being there in about 3 months. Yeah, I got a topic, and the topic is the little girl who was all over the news that got run over by a truck in China, and then she like lied on the street for like 15 minutes, and then got run over by a second truck. And if you haven't seen it before, just go down to the video description, watch the link, and then come back here and come and hear my opinion on it. My opinion on this video is very different than any other opinion you've heard, because I've watched the video many times, and I've seen different people's reactions to the video, and I've read the comments, and you get the same kind of comments. It's stuff like it's horrible. All those people should be in jail. All those they hope the two drivers of the trucks that ran over her get put away for life, and they should be like someone should run them over. And you get a lot of anger, and most of the anger is directed at the drivers of the two trucks. My initial reaction when I watched the video was to be honest, I didn't feel much anger at the driver of the two trucks. Not initially. Most of my anger was at the parents. I'm like, the kid was walking in the street. It's 2 years old. 2 years old, walking in the street. It gets run over. It lies there for 15 minutes. So that for 15 minutes, this kid was wandering around the street with none of its family members watching it. Obviously, because if they'd seen it, they would have picked the girl up. So for 15 solid minutes, a 2-year-old was wandering around in the streets. In my opinion, the parents should be in jail. It's like, and if you're driving a truck, like those trucks, they're high up, and the kid is really short, and it wanders into the street. You can't, if you're driving, imagine a semi driver driving along here, like I'm a semi. You're so high up, and you've got that big, you can't see what's directly in front of you. And if a little kid walks up between two cars, and you go over them, like, how the hell are you supposed to know what, you wouldn't even know what it is. You'd be like, your truck would bump for a second, and you'd be like, huh? But so for him hitting her, he wasn't driving recklessly or doing anything wrong when he hit the kid. Like, if he was running a red light and the kid was crossing at a crosswalk, it'd be different. But the kid just came wandering out onto the street, and the kid was actually looking over her shoulder, like she was looking behind her, and then she looked forward, and that's when the truck hit her. So she wasn't even, she's 2 years old, so you can't. I'm not saying it's her fault for not looking. She's 2 years old. What do you expect? She should have been with someone. Yeah, like the guy who hit the girl, it really wasn't his fault. And then, well, what does he do next? Is the problem is that he there's one thing he does that's really bad, is he runs over again with his rear tire. Like, he runs over the front tire, he stops, comes to a complete stop, and then he kind of like sits there for a couple seconds. He must have figured it out that he hit. But he might not even have figured it out, because if you checked his mirrors, maybe he couldn't see her. Maybe just like, oh, I hit something. Maybe it was a dog, whatever. And then he starts to drive again. So that could have been his thought process. We don't know for certain if he knew that he hit a child. But you're thinking, well, he should have got out and checked. But, this is the thing. And this is where my opinion differs greatly. Personally, I don't think either of the truck drivers should be punished much. They should get a fine or whatever, yeah, but I don't, I don't think they should be punished that much. And the reason is because in that country, what they did was normal. If you drive over someone in Taiwan or China, even Taiwan, which is, like, that would not happen in Taiwan. Let me reiterate that. In Taiwan, if a truck hit a little kid, yeah, there's actually is a very good chance that they would not stop and they would drive away like that guy did. But the kid wouldn't lie on the ground for 15 minutes. That's the really fucked up part. For Taiwan, that would not happen. People would help the child right away. Like, bystanders would run out and do something, or call the police, and then at least stand out there and block off traffic so the kid doesn't get run over a second time. I think I'm trying to decide how to get home. There's a street up ahead that I normally take home, but it's also a street where I've gotten 2 speeding tickets in recently, so I'm just so leery of going on that road. I think I'm going to hang a left. So, okay, so, yeah, so I don't think the truck drivers should be punished much because what they did was the normal reaction in that country. So if you're doing something that everyone does, why should you be punished? You know what I mean? Like if it's something that's the norm, you're doing the norm, it's the cultural norm in that country that if you run someone over, don't stop. And why? Because 9 times out of 10, if you hit someone in China, or actually not even 9 times, like 19 times out of 20, if you run someone over and you just don't stop, you won't get caught. So, like, if you run someone over and you think to yourself, well, if I keep on driving, I got a 95% chance that I'm not going to be punished. But if I stop, then I got, I'm 100% chance that I am going to be punished. And then you have to remember that morally, they're different than us. Like morally, their cultural, like their value of life, their cultural value of human life is much, much, much less than ours. And I'm not going to say that's wrong, because that's their culture, right? Everyone talks about shit like that. Everyone always defends other people's cultures. Like, you shouldn't, like if I said that Asian people are stupid because they use chopsticks to eat, then everyone would attack me and say, that's their culture, you're an idiot, you're ignorant, why are you attacking their culture? That's their culture. Well, China's culture is to not respect human life. That's their culture. That's why they have they have the highest abortion rate on the planet. Hospitals in China, they dump dead babies into rivers. Like I saw an article where somebody went to the river and there was like literally dozens of dead babies floating down the river, and it was a nearby hospital. They just taken all the babies that were aborted and dumped them in the river, and those 18 people that walked by her and ignored her. Why didn't they even look? If you saw a dead child on the street, even if you didn't want to help it, you'd still think it was interesting. You'd still stop and look at it and be like, holy shit, I think a truck ran over that 2-year-old, and then you'd walk on. Like, you would at least look. Even if you weren't going to help the child, you would at least be like, wow, that's interesting. But the people in the video, they don't even think it's interesting. Do you know why? Because it's fucking common there. That's why. Dead babies in the street in China, it's like, yeah, seen one dead baby, seen them. It's not that, like for them, it's not a big deal. Search for it. I've seen I've seen a half a dozen videos or articles of dead kids in the street there. There was one article, it was a dead baby in diapers, and it was on the sidewalk, and it sat there for something like 3-4 hours, and so you don't got 18 people walking by this baby, you got hundreds of people walking by a dead baby left on the street, and it's like, the baby's already dead, so no one's going to try to save it, obviously, but it's just a dead baby on the street. Like, that's not that big of a deal of a thing to see there. So for them, so again, like, people are all angry at those 18 people that walked by the child. Well, what happens if that's the 12th child they've seen that week? Then, if you were to talk to one of those people, they were like, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to stop for every dead or half-dead child on the street? Because then I'd be late for work every day. You can't. So I'm not even angry at those 18 people, because obviously if it was one person that walked by didn't do anything, and then the other 17 tried to help, then you could be angry at that one person, because you could be like, look, everyone else tries to help the little kid, why didn't you? But no one tries to help the kid, except for the garbage woman. And it was funny because somebody wrote a comment, like an Asian guy wrote a comment, that the only reason the garbage woman helped the kid was because she wanted to get on the news, because then maybe some people would like send her some donations and stuff because she's poor. So in other words, the only reason she helped, and I'm not saying this is true, to be honest, I don't believe this, but it's just interesting that someone, like the other Chinese people, said that the only reason that a garbage woman helped was because she thought she might make some money out of it. And I'm not saying that's true. I personally, I'd like to believe that she did it because she actually wanted to help the kid. But it's a possibility, because it's their culture. It's different than our culture, So you have all these people, all these Westerners, just so angry by this video where this little kid gets run over and all these people that don't help her. But it's a totally different culture, and unless you lived in China, then you really shouldn't be judging. Because maybe those 18 people that walked by, maybe if 1,000 people walked by, they would have 999 would have ignored the kid, and only that one garbage woman would have helped. So does that mean the 999 people should all go to jail? No, obviously not, because that's obviously the way that they've been brought up. It's obviously the way that the Chinese system works, and that's how the schools work, and that's how the government works, and that's just their culture. So So what are you getting mad at them for being the way that they should be, being the way that China wants them to be? So yeah. So, and I've seen it like in Taiwan even. There was an example where there was a car and the guy was hammered. He was just drunk, and I didn't have a camera on me at the time. And I followed the car, and he's just swerving around. He's just hammered, and so I followed him because I know sooner or later this guy's gonna crash because he could barely keep it on the road going straight. And so I'm just following this car. He's drunk, and sure enough, he smashes into another car. And then after he smashes into the other car, he makes a U-turn and takes off. And I didn't chase after him because I wanted to. I had memorized his license plate, so I wanted to give it to the guy that he hit. So I give it to the guy that he hit, and then he calls the cops. We wait for the cops to come, and I said to the cops, well, here's the guy's license plate. He was drunk, and the cop laughs at me. He's like, ha ha, stupid white man. How do you know he was drunk? And I'm like, what do you mean, fuck? Because he was all over the fucking road. Because after he hit the other car, I pulled up beside him, and his face was bright red, and his eyes were bloodshot, and I was banging on his window, and he didn't even look at me because he was that drunk. He was that out of it. You know, he was drunk. And he's like, okay, he was drunk. And I'm like, so are you going to go after him? And they're like, no. I swear to God. Drunk driver, hit and run, police come. I asked the police, are you going to go after the guy? Are you going to go to his house? You know, are you going to take him in, give him a ticket, go check his car for paint or whatever, you know? And he's like, no. He's like, this license plate you gave me, I think that's from another province, you know? He lives somewhere else. No. And he's like, well, if you want to do, you know, and then he just told the other guy, if you want to go to your insurance company, just mark it up as a hit and run, and here's a police report, and, you know, it was just nuts. He didn't, and so that just showed me the drunk guy driving away was the right thing to do, because if he had stayed, he would have been screwed. He would have to pay for the damage to the other car. He would have been busted for driving drunk. He would have got tickets for that. He might have got his license revoked, but he drove away. And even though we had his license plate number, he got away scot-free. So it's like shit. So, if I were driving drunk and I were to hit another car, not a person, but another car, would I sit and wait for the police to come and bust me? No, chances are I wouldn't, because I've learned that in this country, the correct thing to do is just to drive home. Anyway, so so the point is it kind of bothers me, all these people raging about the truck drivers, and raging, because the truck drivers, they didn't see her, she shouldn't have been on the street. And then the raging about the 18 people who didn't help her. And, well, that's, for all we know, that's this fifth kid they saw that day lying on the road. Probably not. Well, actually, I'm 99.9999999999999% sure that it's not, but we don't know. Maybe it was. Maybe it was the fifth kid they'd seen lying on the road, half crushed, that day. So, their logic was just, we can't help everyone. They treat stray children like they do stray dogs here. And they treat stray children in China like they treat stray dogs in Taiwan. Actually, less than that. I take that back. A stray dog here would get better treatment than a stray child in China. Anyway, so that's my opinion on the whole Chinese girl gets run over, hit and run topic thingy, my bobber.